All right, let's talk about something that gives even the most prepared students nightmares: the competitive exam essay. Specifically, today we're going to crack the code on how to pass one of the toughest ones out there, the Central Superior Services, or CSS, essay exam.
So, why is this such a big deal? Well, get this. According to the people who actually grade these things, the failure rate for exams like the CSS and PPSC can be as high as 95%. Yeah, you heard that right. That number is just staggering. It means only a tiny fraction of people actually make it through. But that's why we're here. We're going to figure out why this happens and, more importantly, how you can be in that top percentile.
You know, to fix a problem, you've got to understand it first. So, let's do a little autopsy on a failed essay. We're going to break down the most common mistakes that examiners see over and over again, so you know exactly which traps to avoid.
Now, you'd think there's this long, complicated list of reasons for failure, right? But honestly, the examiner reports almost always boil it down to just three big things: basic language errors, major structural blunders, and some pretty critical mistakes with the content itself. Let's take a look at each one.
First up, language. And guys, this is the big one. The reports are crystal clear. A weak grasp of basic English grammar is the #1 reason people fail. We're talking about simple stuff like using the wrong tense or spelling mistakes so bad that the examiners literally call them suicidal. I'm not making that up. Then you have these sentences that are just so long and complex that they end up meaning nothing. If you get this part wrong, it doesn't matter how brilliant your ideas are. It's pretty much an automatic fail.
But it's not just about grammar. There's this huge strategic mistake that so many people make. They fail before they even really start because they write a fantastic essay on the wrong topic. They just don't get the real question in the prompt. See, under pressure, your brain sees what it wants to see. And you might write an absolutely amazing piece, but if it doesn't answer the question that was actually asked, you're not going to get any marks.
Okay, so we've talked enough about the problems. Let's get into the solutions. And this brings us to a really crucial point. Your success starts way before you write the first word of your essay. It all begins with a smart, strategic choice of topic. This is probably the single most important decision you're going to make in that exam hall. So generally speaking, the CSS essay topics fall into two camps. On one side, you have the argumentative essays. These are the ones that ask you to take a firm stand on some abstract or maybe controversial idea. They are definitely high risk, but they can be high reward. On the other side, you've got your descriptive or issue-based essays. These are more about explaining the causes and solutions to a specific problem. They're usually a safer bet for getting a passing score, as long as you really know your stuff.
So how do you choose? Well, you have to be really honest with yourself. For an argumentative essay, ask yourself, do I have a broad range of knowledge? Can I pull examples from all sorts of different places? For an issue-based one, the question is, do I have deep, specific knowledge? Do I know the facts and figures? And think about it. Can you use information from your other CSS subjects to help you out? But most importantly, are you 100% positive you know what that prompt is asking?
So, once you've picked your topic, you need a plan, a blueprint. Let's be super clear here. The outline isn't just a friendly suggestion. It is the single most important part of your essay structure. Your entire success can literally depend on the effort you put into that outline.
I want you to let that sink in for a minute. These examiners are reading a mountain of papers. Your outline is their roadmap, and if that map is confusing or unclear or just plain boring, they might decide your fate right then and there. A detailed, logical outline is basically your ticket to getting your essay taken seriously. After you've got that killer outline, the next piece of the puzzle is your introduction. And more specifically, the examiner is going to be looking at those first few lines, the hook. Its job is really simple. Grab the reader's attention and make them actually want to read what you have to say.
Now, this is just a perfect example of what a good hook can do. Instead of some dry, boring start, it tells a little story. It creates this vivid picture in the examiner's mind that they're going to remember. It just pulls them right into your world. You can also do this with a really shocking statistic or a surprising fact. Whatever you do, make it impactful.
So you've got a great topic, a rock-solid outline, and a killer hook. Awesome. Now you have to deliver the goods. A great structure is totally useless if you don't have the substance to back it up. And that means you've got to provide real evidence for what you're saying and then wrap it all up with a powerful conclusion.
And this part is absolutely non-negotiable. Every single argument you make has to be backed up by evidence. If you don't have real-world examples from history, from current events, from your studies, then all you're writing are opinions, and an essay built on just opinions is, as they say, doomed to failure. Plain and simple.
And finally, we get to the conclusion. Look, this is not the place to introduce new ideas or try to be overly creative. The entire point of the conclusion is to circle back to your main arguments and show the examiner one last time that you've proven your point logically and convincingly. Think of it as your closing statement. It needs to be clear, confident, and conclusive.
So there you have it. We went from that shocking 95% failure rate to understanding the main reasons why. Language, structure, and content. But more importantly, we've now laid out the tools you need to succeed. Choosing your topic wisely, building a killer outline, creating a compelling hook, and backing up your arguments with real proof. At the end of the day, success in the CSS essay isn't about some secret magic formula. It's about strategy, and it's about avoiding those common, predictable mistakes. You now know why so many others fail, and you have the keys to succeed. So the only question left is, are you ready to sit down and build your blueprint?